So this is going to be the tutorial to creating a frame using the Adobe Photoshop. So to start off on this assignment, you want to go onto Google, and once you get onto Google, you can either look up either landscape or you could do cityscape too. So I'm just going to do a landscape just because it's easier to find. So once you type landscape on Google, you're going to click on image, and you're just going to look for a landscape. Just a couple of things to be mindful of is once some of these images that you click, so like for example this one here, if you look at it carefully, it looks very pixelated. So if I were to save this image in my folder, so in order to save your images in the folder, you would click on your folder, click and drag your photo on there, and then that's going to save it. But now some of these images, they are very pixelated. So for example, this one's very pixelated. So if I had to zoom that in, obviously I can't use this photo here. So you might have to find another one. The reason why they get pixelated is because if you go to view image or visit the site, well, in this case it's not even connecting to it, but sometimes the school blocks the website. So if the website's blocked, you can't really pull that image. So you just want to look around so you can find one that you can use. Even this one's very pixelated. Let me see if I can visit this site. So yeah, so that's another image I can't really visit. But eventually you'll find one that you like. And preferably try to find one that's high res. So if you look at the bottom left-hand corner, there's a pixel count. So try to find something that's over like 1000 by 800. This is like a good size here, but even this one looks. Oh, I think my internet's just not working right now. No. So I usually want to scroll through here and find an image. This one should work because I just downloaded this one earlier. Yeah, so this one works. If I click and drag this on here, and look at the title too. If this is downloads, that means it's not working. But now when I click on this image here, this is going to be a lot bigger and more cleaner to look. So just be mindful of that when you're looking for images. So once you've downloaded the images, all you're going to do is just click and drag it here. Just also be mindful that you don't want to click and drag it from this window here because it'll look very different, because this is from the preview window. Again, if this images or downloads, you're going to have a more pixelated image, which you don't want to use for this assignment. So now that I have my image here, I'm going to delete these two. So if you ever need to delete images, you can just click and drag it into the recycling bin. I'm going to just click and drag this into Photoshop. You're just going to drag it onto the PS. Photoshop's going to be the primary program that we're going to use for photography class. So we're just going to wait for it to load. And there's going to be a really specific way I want you to do your drawings or the framing for this particular assignment. This is going to just give you like a small introduction to using the layer masks, which will be a big component to a lot of the special effects or Photoshop techniques that we're going to use later in the year. I'm just going to wait a little bit. My computer is very slow. Alright, so here's my photo. And minimize that. So it's really small here, but if you hold Command and press plus, that'll zoom in. And then Command minus will zoom out. So I'm just going to zoom in just so I got an entire view of it. Alright, so to start off with the assignment, even before when you're choosing your photos, try to find a photo that utilizes the idea of the rule of thirds. So, if I click on this frame tool, and if I just adjust it a little bit, as you can pull with the frame tool, you can kind of pull the rule of thirds. So my rule of thirds is like tic-tac-toe grid, and this kind of uses the rule of thirds. If you look on the bottom right-hand corner, that's where my bridge is, and I would consider the main subject to be the bridge, and also maybe like this boat here. So if I really wanted to, I could crop this part of the picture. I could do something like that for rule of thirds. But I kind of like the overall picture of how it looks already. But one of the subjects is gonna be like the bridge here, because your eye could go down here, look over there, or it can go in that direction too. So one of the main focuses is the bridge. The other is that boat there, but the bridge down here is using the rule of thirds. So try to find a photo that utilizes the rule of thirds, because I want to see that you understand what rule of thirds are and how you can use it. Alright, so next thing that we're going to do is, so you have your image on the background layer, and we're just going to add a new layer on here. So I'm going to click this button here, or you can also do layers, new, and that button too. I'm just going to click this button here. It's going to create a new layer on the top. And then with this new layer, I want you to change your color to black. So you're going to click on the swatch here, and just drag it to the corner and make it a black, because there are different shades of black if you aren't too careful. And click OK. And what we're going to do is we're going to use the paint bucket tool here. And if you can't get to the paint bucket tool, you may need to hold the mouse button. It might be on the gradient tool, but change it to paint bucket. And we're just going to color it black. Alright, now real important to make it a new layer, because it won't affect the original photo that you use. Because if you change this to black, it's going to do like really weird things, which you obviously don't want to happen. So another option too is if you go to Windows History, these are basically all the commands I've done. I've opened the file, create a new layer, and I just did all those paint buckets. So I'm going to just scroll up here and just do it up to this point here. These are like 4 paint buckets I was just messing up on purpose, just to show you how you can undo some of your mistakes. But I think in this program you can only do up to like 10 times, so you don't want to make too many mistakes at one time. Just be mindful of it. So now when we put the layer one with the black, basically we're just kind of like adding like a sheet of paper on top of your photo, and this won't affect your original photo at all. So it's always good practice to always create new layers when you're doing any kind of editing. So we have this black here, and we're going to go to we're going to create a layer mask. So you're going to go to layers, layer mask, and you're going to click on reveal all. Okay, so it's not reveal all. You want to do the opposite of it. At some point in the year, we will do reveal all to do other things, but you're just going to do hide all. So basically, when you click on hide all, it's going to hide all of those areas that are black. So now when I use the brush tool, and preferably you might want to use like the hard edge brush or the soft edge brush, I'm going to change this to white. So whatever you change to white, that's going to reveal the black that's there. So if you look carefully at the brushes, this one's like more of a fuzzier edge. You may want to play around with the fuzzy edge, just kind of play around with like the focus. This one's a hard edge brush. Preferably I might want to use a hard edge brush here. And if you want to change your brush sizes, the brush sizes are, I'm going to create a new layer just so it don't affect this picture here. But change your brush sizes, it's going to be this key and that key. This is going to make it smaller, that's going to make it, make it bigger. So that's what it's going to basically do. So you don't have to always scroll back up here to change your size. This is going to be a little tedious to do if you're doing drawing with it. So that's the nice thing about changing layers, is you can always hide the layer, or you can just delete it once you're done. So I'm just going to keep it up here just so you guys can see what it is. So I'm going to go back to my layer 1, and you can always retitle these layers if you double click on the name. So I'm just going to change this to silhouette. I can't spell silhouette, but basically the black shapes you're going to create are silhouette. I'm just going to hide this here so it's not showing up. And just make sure when you go back to your this layer here, this is going to be your original layer here, so you don't want to ever have your have it clicked on that. You always want to click on the layer mask, and then wherever I put in the white, that's where the it's gonna kind of just like reveal what the black is. So maybe one idea I might want to do is I might put a tree here. And you don't have to worry about the drawing being perfect. I just want you to kind of get like the idea of how the you know, just to like demonstrate your understanding of you know, what framing is. So you don't gotta worry about it having to be like super detailed or look neat. You know, I'm just utilizing the changes in the size of the brush. You know, this is like one of the very few instances where we'll do drawing in class. So, you know, don't worry if your drawings aren't that great. So, I'm just creating this tree here to help frame the bridge here and the boat a little bit better, so you're not distracted by what's over here. And then maybe I might want to, you know, add a person here in the picture. And it could be like with their, you know, little daughter or something, or younger kid. Now, if you want to erase things, you can just change it to black. So you can hit this flipper, and that'll erase, you know, the parts if you want to clean it up more. So you gotta like flip back and forth with that. I mean, it's possible if you wanted to, you could use the eraser to erase the black, and you know, use the brush to bring back the black too. But you know, I really do want you to utilize the layer mask, because you know, that's gonna be like a really effective tool that we're gonna use later. So like for example, if you know, I did the same thing, you know, I created a let me just show you an example of how the layer mask would work. So like this background layer, if I were to duplicate the layer, so you go layers, duplicate, and click OK. You know, this layer here is just a copy of that same layer. I'm actually gonna hide the silhouette that I made. So it's a copy of it, and you know, if I want to do like a filter, a blur, and do like a Gashwan blur, I can actually create like a blur for the photo. And this is something I'm going to show you again later in the year, but you know, I have this one layer that's blurred, this one's in focus. So you know, if I did that same thing, layer mask, reveal all, then wherever I color in the black area, which is going to show what or wherever I color in the areas that are, I use a fuzzy brush, you know, any area that I color in black, that's going to put it into focus. You know, I would just change the opacity to erase it a little bit at a time. So, you know, you can get some like really interesting effects with it. You know, varying your brush, and you know, I get a little bit more of a focus there. So, you know, that's kind of part of the reason why I want you to utilize the layer mask, just because it's going to be a process we're going to, you know, constantly be using in your photography.